Welcome to Chicken Matter Talks. In today's educational documentary, we will explore the origin and history of the White Hatch Gamefowl bloodline, one of the recognized variations within the broader Hatch family of poultry bloodlines. This video is created strictly for educational and historical purposes only. Our goal is to discuss breeding background, strain development, physical characteristics, and responsible poultry management. We do not promote harmful or unethical activities. When discussing traditional bloodlines like White Hatch, transparency is essential. Over decades of selective breeding, strain names can represent slightly different variations depending on breeder practices and regional influence. In this documentary, we will clearly explain historical foundations and modern realities. Let us begin with the Hatch family itself. Understanding the Hatch family. To understand White Hatch, we must first understand the Hatch bloodline family, one of the most influential families in American poultry breeding history. The Hatch line developed through early breeding programs that emphasized strong structural foundation, durability and adaptability, balanced body proportions, consistency across generations. Over time, breeders developed several recognizable Hatch variations, often distinguished by color and minor structural traits. Among these were yellow leg hatch, green leg hatch, blue face hatch, pumpkin hatch, white hatch. White hatch emerged as a color-based variation within the Hatch family, while retaining many of the structural qualities associated with the line. Origin of White Hatch. White Hatch likely developed when breeders selectively stabilized hatch-type birds that expressed predominantly white plumage. In poultry genetics, white coloration may appear through recessive white genes, dominant white genes, careful line breeding to maintain color purity. Through disciplined selection over generations, breeders worked to maintain clean white feather coloration, hatch-type body structure, strong leg alignment, upright posture. It is important to clarify that White Hatch is not a completely separate family from Hatch. Rather, it is a color-focused variation within the Hatch bloodline tradition. Development through selective breeding. Stabilizing a white-feathered strain requires careful planning. Breeders working with White Hatch focused on removing birds with off-color feathers, selecting for structural consistency, preserving hatch-type frame and balance, avoiding excessive crossbreeding. Because white plumage can sometimes mask subtle feather flaws, responsible breeders also paid attention to feather quality, body symmetry, bone structure, overall health. Over time, consistent pairing decisions helped maintain birds that were both visually distinct and structurally balanced. Physical characteristics of White Hatch. While natural variation exists, White Hatch birds are commonly described as having medium to strong body frame, upright and alert carriage, clean white plumage, balanced wings and tail, well-aligned legs. The influence of the Hatch family is often visible in compact but athletic body proportions, tight feathering, efficient stance. White coloration may appear pure snow white or slightly creamy depending on genetics and environmental factors. Temperament and behavior. White Hatch birds are often described as energetic, alert, active in open spaces, responsive to surroundings. However, Temperament is influenced by multiple factors, including breeding discipline, handling practices, housing conditions, nutrition and care. Bloodline alone does not determine behavior. Responsible poultry management plays a critical role. White hatch versus other hatch variations. White hatch differs visually from other hatch variations due to its plumage color, but it shares structural similarities. For example, yellow leg hatch emphasizes leg pigmentation. Pumpkin hatch emphasizes pumpkin-toned plumage. Blue face hatch highlights facial coloration. White hatch stands out primarily for its clean white appearance, while maintaining hatch-type balance and build. Transparency is important. Not every white-feathered bird with hatch ancestry qualifies as a preserved white hatch strain. Documentation and breeder history matter. Genetics of white plumage. White plumage in chickens is controlled by specific genes that suppress pigment expression. There are two main genetic mechanisms. Dominant white masks other colors. Recessive white requires both parents to carry the gene. Maintaining white coloration requires understanding inheritance patterns. Without careful breeding, unwanted color leakage may appear in offspring. Responsible breeders combine genetic knowledge with structural selection to maintain both appearance and health. Spread and regional adaptation. As white hatch birds spread beyond their original breeding circles, regional adaptation naturally occurred. Factors influencing adaptation include climate differences, feeding systems, breeder priorities. In warmer climates, birds may develop leaner frames. In cooler regions, feather density may appear slightly fuller. These subtle changes are normal in long-term breeding history. Modern status of white hatch. Today, white hatch remains a recognized variation within the hatch family. However, challenges in maintaining purity include decades of crossbreeding, limited documentation, commercial relabeling. Responsible modern breeders prioritize accurate record keeping, honest representation, ethical management, sustainable breeding practices. Not all birds labeled white hatch share identical genetic backgrounds, which is why transparency is essential. Responsible and ethical poultry management. This documentary is educational in nature and does not promote harmful activities. Responsible poultry management includes proper housing and ventilation, clean water access, balanced nutrition, regular health monitoring, humane handling practices. Preserving heritage bloodlines should always align with animal welfare standards. Common misconceptions. Misconception 1. Any white chicken is white hatch. Color alone does not define bloodline identity. Misconception 2. White hatch is genetically separate from hatch. It is a variation within the hatch family. Misconception 3. Old bloodlines remain unchanged. All living populations adapt over time. Understanding these points helps maintain realistic expectations and responsible discussion. Why white hatch remains important. White hatch remains significant because it represents careful color stabilization, structural consistency, long-term breeding discipline, heritage preservation. It demonstrates how selective breeding can shape both appearance and stability across generations. Lessons for modern breeders. Studying white hatch history teaches the importance of genetic understanding, balancing color and structure, maintaining accurate records, avoiding exaggerated claims. These lessons apply to all heritage poultry strains. Conclusion: the White Hatch Gamefowl bloodline, developed as a white feathered variation within the broader hatch family through disciplined selection and generational planning. It represents both aesthetic distinctiveness and structural balance shaped by careful breeding practices. This documentary aimed to provide a transparent, educational overview of its origin and development while promoting ethical poultry management. By preserving accurate knowledge, we contribute to the responsible protection of poultry heritage. Thank you for watching Chicken Matter Talks. If you enjoy educational poultry history content, like this video, subscribe for more Bloodline documentaries, comment which strain you would like to explore next. Together, let us support transparency, responsible breeding, and poultry heritage preservation.